Hey everybody, welcome to Hidden Horror. How are you guys doing today? I hope all is well. And here, I'm here to really talk about the Colt Gray mass shooting and his dad's trial, Colin Gray. So we're going to pick right up where we left off. Today, we're going to go over the witness testimony from Colt Gray's first hour teacher. I want to go over that particular testimony because I think it's kind of insightful. Um, it stands out to me that she did feel that the backpack that had the protruding school project that it was an issue. She did report it. She sent an email to his counselor, but all of that takes time to process. If you believe that there's going to be a possible violent act, you have to act fast. Maybe sending an email is maybe not the quickest way to handle it. I feel that there should be a panic button, there should be a duress button, there should be a quicker method to relay information if it has to be a button to security or a phone call to security, something that would send the alert a lot quicker because again, she noticed it in the first hour class. By the time he got to second hour class, and also the incident in the bathroom, he started the mass shooting. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go over the video together. This video is provided by Law and Crime Trials. It's titled Alleged School Shooter Asks Chilling Questions Teacher. What they're referring to when they say he asked a chilling question, something that Colt Gray did, which was to me another red flag, was he asked the teacher, had the students been involved in uh, a drill for an active shooter? To me, that is like a really odd question. When I was volunteering and being in the schools and seeing various age students, I have never heard or seen of someone asking that question. So to me, the alerts would have been going off, the bells would have been going off, and also the backpack, the alleged school project, how it was wrapped, how it was covered, how long it was. To me, those were enough signs visible that you can see, and also just identify that that question was chilling. It was very odd. That hey, you might have an incident on your hands. That would have triggered something in me to do something about it. Taking that student aside, taking the backpack, setting it aside for security or the appropriate staff to do uh, check, a backpack check. Okay. So anyway, that's what this video is about. So let's get started. The video is under 30 minutes, so we won't hold you long today. Okay. Let's get started with the testimony.
I am going to draw your attention to September 4th of 2024. Were you working at Appalachee that day?
I was.
And was Colt Gray in one of your classes?
He was.
What period was he in?
He was in first period.
I'm gonna pause for just a second. So this high school is in Georgia. Colt Gray, he was a new student to the school. This is Barrow County. If you know a little bit of the background, Colt Gray, he moved around a lot. They had some evictions and they moved around quite a bit. So they were not familiar with Colt Gray. He was an incoming freshman, a ninth grader. He had kind of bounced around in different districts, and um, sometimes you just not familiar with the student. Sometimes when you have students that come through the same school district and you can get familiar with them through programs, activities, just a culture. You know, if they were in the district the entire time from kindergarten up through high school, you would kind of gauge, you know, how they kind of were taught, how the educational system was there, some of their standards, some of the structure. And I think they just didn't have that with Colt because he was an incoming freshman. He was a ninth grader, and I don't think anyone really knew about him or any of his possible issues. I think this may have been maybe his second time at the school. He didn't go to school consistently and he didn't start on time. So a lot of the teachers, they just didn't have any relation to him or familiarity to him. And they have to be thinking kind of quick and noticing things kind of quick. So I think this is kind of also how they just weren't prepared for it. But you can't always connect people for relationships. Sometimes you just have to look at those red flags. Like the red flags were up to me when he asked the question about had the students had any active shooter drills, lockdown drills, things like that, and then also the backpack. In the prior video that we went over the other day, I showed you through the entirety of the video clip snippets that were stitched together, showing Colt Gray's movements through Appalachee High School, how nobody stopped him, how he passed numerous staff. Nobody questioned him, nobody asked him, nobody really were concerned or interested or just bewildered as to what he had in that backpack, the length, how heavy it was, all of those things to me stood out. And I would be concerned, I would ask questions. So but let's continue.
And what time is that class? Or generally, what time does first period start?
Start the bell rang at like 8:15.
Okay. And what time does it end?
Best I recall, like 9:38, somewhere around there.
And on September 4th, I guess, had you seen him in your class before?
I think he'd been in class one time prior to that day.
And on September 4th, did he talk to you?
He did.
When did he first talk to you?
Early on in the classroom session, I think around 8:30, he asked to go to the restroom.
And then after that, did he come and talk to you again?
He did.
And what did he talk to you about?
At this point, we had been talking about missing assignments and different things because he had only been there for 2 days. But he asked whether or not we'd ever had.
Okay, I'm going to pause it here for a second. So again, we have a student that's not being consistent, that's not coming to school, that's truant, that isn't completing assignments. The focus is not there. Is the school reaching out to the parent? I mean, this is early on in the semester, but he's not attending school regularly. So again, it's a lack of familiarity with the student. These are all kind of like red flags that something may be going on at home. Something may be going on there because he's not coming to school.
Had an active shooter drill before.
And what did?
Let me just back that up because I don't want to take it far, but just like 20
Did you tell him?
I told him that we had had one.
Judge, we're going to object any hearsay. Response.
No.
I need to back it up. It didn't actually do it.
And then after that, did he come and talk to you again?
He did.
And what did he talk to you about?
At this point, we had been talking about missing assignments and different things because he had only been there for 2 days. But he asked whether or not we'd ever had an active shooter drill before.
And what did you tell him?
I told him that we had had one.
Judge, we're going to object any hearsay.
It's not hearsay.
No.
Direct question.
This is,
Direct
it doesn't go to the truth of the matter asserted. It goes to sort of present sense impression, what they're discussing at that time, and then what action she took after.
Really, to me, it goes to his mindset that his focus is on if he's not even attending class, he's not completing the assignments, and he's taking the time up to go to his teacher and ask, have you had an active shooter lockdown drill? You have to think about the mindset, what they're thinking about, what they're spending their time doing. His energy is not focused on class, the lesson, completing the assignments, turning in late work, asking about the assignments that he's missed. His mindset is that active shooter lockdown. Have they received any training? Have they practiced it? Have they done it already? That's where his mindset is. Let's continue.
Afterwards.
Yeah, I would think this falls into a category of non-hearsay. They're not offering it to prove that they did or didn't have active school shooter trainings in the past. It's just, did he ask the question? So I'll go with the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. And so kind of getting back to the question, he asked you if there was an active shooter drill, and then your response was what?
Yeah, we actually had one last week, but he wasn't there for the drill.
Okay. And was there any further discussion about that?
At that moment, I did ask him what school he went to, because I was concerned, like, why would you, had you worked in, or been in a school that it would have made you nervous about school shooting? And he told me that that he had been at Jefferson High School, middle school, excuse me, in the 8th grade. And I asked him if he knew Elaine Murphy, who's one of the teachers at Jefferson.
Judge, I'm going to again object any.
So I'll just say something here. I believe the teacher was trying to connect with Colt, but to be honest with you, it's hard to form that connection when his mindset is on doing a mass shooting. I know teachers can try to, redirect the thoughts and, try to find a way to really to reach this student, but his mind is not there. His mind is not on his education, his schoolwork, attending school. It's on a mass shooting. Listen to what he's asking you compared to what you're saying to him. He was already gone. It was already too late, unfortunately.
Hearsay.
And
Ms. Brooks, you have a response or?
I think we'll just move on from what she said back to him and go on to the next topic.
All right, so I'll sustain the objections to his last remarks. Go ahead.
Okay. So after y'all had the discussion, did he go back and sit down?
He did.
Okay. And this time I'm going to publish a clip from State's Exhibit 16. It's been previously introduced in the evidence, and the clip is from 38 minutes and 23 seconds to 39 minutes and 12 seconds.
Monster Math
My
presents
apologies.
multiplication.
No.
Okay, class, let's
So they're showing the video. We've seen clips of this from our prior video that Hidden Horror did, but this is showing the interaction where he goes up to her desk and he's asking her questions, the exchange that she just described, where he asked about
I'm going to pause it.
had they experienced the
briefly.
lockdown drill.
Can you kind of tell the jury, just so they can make sure they see where you are and then also where Colt Gray is?
Sure. So over to this side over here, where you see the gold and white striped bulletin board, that's where my desk is. And
Is that all the way on the left of the screen?
yes, and then he is to the right of my desk. I don't know what corner I can show you. So I'm here and Colt is here, and this is where he was sitting.
Okay.
And
So
this
she's
was
here at
Alex
her
Thompson,
desk,
this
and then
was
he was
Todd
sitting here at this
It may
screen,
facilitate
at this
things
desk,
with these fisheye.
next to this student with the black hoodie. First row,
9 o'clock or.
in between the student
That's
with
a
the
good
blue
idea, Your
shirt
Honor.
and the student with the black
And as
hoodie.
far as the exit or the entrance to the classroom, the door, is that around 11 o'clock?
It is.
All right, thank you. All right, we can finish playing the clip.
So the door to the exit of the class is right here in this area.
Okay. And does that clip show where he asked you about the active shooter drill?
Yes.
Okay. When he asked you that, did that concern you?
I mean, you don't expect to hear that in the classroom. I mean, we hear about school shootings, but you don't think it's going to happen to you. So it was a little bit alarming. And I did send an email to the counselor.
I just want to pause it here. So if someone came up to me, if I was an educator and they actually brought the question to me, I would immediately think they're thinking about a mass shooting, a school shooting. Um, I don't know any other way to interpret that. If they're in class, they're supposed to be focused on an assignment or a lesson, and their thought is not in the classroom. I have to keep going back to this mindset, this thinking. Um, I don't want to say it's like an obsession, but he's not thinking about the class assignment or the work. His mindset is on a school shooting. And that's why he had enough gall to really go and ask her the question that he asked her about the lockdown. Had they had practice or experienced the active shooter drill? You know, it goes back to the mindset.
In regards to that, in regards to my concern.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State Exhibit 32. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And what do you recognize that as?
It's the email that I sent to Miss Butler.
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate copy of that email that you sent to Miss Butler on September 4th?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, this time I'd like to introduce into evidence State Exhibit 32.
No objection.
All right, 32 is admitted.
Okay, if we could display that for the jury. Okay, so you indicated that you sent this email to Miss Butler. Can you tell us who Miss Butler is?
She's the counselor that is in charge of his last name. So each counselor has a certain number of letters in the alphabet that they're in charge of. And she was in charge of his last name.
And then you also copied D. Martin. Can you tell me who D. Martin is?
She's our assistant principal, but I'm a CTAE teacher, so she was actually over the CTAE umbrella.
Okay. And what time did you send that email?
The timestamp is 8:46 a.m.
So let's pause right here. And this is why I have an issue with the procedures. If the timestamp is 8:46 a.m., the mass shooting didn't happen to after 10 a.m. So like where is the urgency? Where is the emergency in an email like this? There should be like in an email, a red flag, like, you know, this is an important email. This is an urgent email. That's a lot of time, you know, and this is where things are slipping through the cracks. I don't want to say mistakes are made, but we've lost time. We've had almost an hour to an hour and a half to discover this information and do something about it. And it just was a matter of time. And it's just unfortunate that this happened. I wish she could have just stepped out of the classroom and went to the office, or taken her phone out and called someone, or did some kind of alert to security to come and see about Colt Gray. Because to me, this is another situation where we have a loss of time, a waste of time. We don't need a lot of red tape to get an emergency type of message to somebody that we need help. because they needed help. They needed to see about him as he casually walked through that entire school with not one person stopping him as he carried the weapon.
And can you read for the jury what your email said?
The subject said inquiry from CG that might warrant a few questions. Miss Butler, I had a student who is new to the school. He has missed quite a bit already. He asked this morning if we ever do any active shooter drills. I thought this was an odd question. I told him we did, and we had one recently, but he was absent. I asked if he had a particular concern, and he said he didn't. The student is Colt Gray, and he is in the 9th grade, just FYI.
Thank you. Now, after you sent that email, did Colt come and talk to you again?
Yes.
Okay. And what did he talk to you about this time?
Several times he was asking about missing assignments. The two students that were sitting beside him, Alex Johnson and Tyler Graham, they were actually helping him with assignments. But at some point, closer to the time that the bell rang, he asked what our policy was in between restroom transitions as far as going to the restroom.
And what is Appalachee's policy about restroom transitions?
You cannot go to the restroom during.
And let's pause. Why would he need to know that? Because he wanted to go to the restroom, but he couldn't. He wouldn't have been allowed to go into the restroom. They're probably blocking the restrooms so the kids can all go to class and then get permission to go to the restroom. But he asked that question for a reason, because remember, he already went to the restroom. So why are you asking the question? You got to think there's some manipulation in it.
Transitions.
Okay. And by transition, do you mean between classes?
Yes, ma'am.
So when can you go to the restroom?
You can go in class.
And how do y'all prevent people from going to the restroom during between classes?
We have chains. And so I actually had the restroom duty right outside my classroom. So there's chains, and you just walk out and clip the chain and stand there and make sure that the students don't go in and out of the restroom.
Okay. So at this time, I'm going to show another clip from State's Exhibit 16, which is from 1 hour and 30 minutes and 54 seconds to 1 hour and 31 minutes and 18 seconds. Is that when he asked you about going to the bathroom, or what the bathroom policy is?
He did, and I reached over to grab the bathroom pass. That's what the thing I was reaching for. They have to have a hall pass in order to go to the restroom. Asked him if he needed to go to the restroom, and he said he did not.
When class was over and he was getting ready to leave, did you notice anything about him or his belongings that caused you concern?
Very close to in the class, I noticed that there was like a poster or some kind of project or something that was sticking out of his book bag. And I asked him what his project was about, and he didn't really have much to say about the project, but he did tell me that he would show it to me later if I wanted to see it. And I couldn't tell what the project was, but he had only been there for a couple of days. So I was looking at it kind of odd. It was taller than the book bag, and it had like clothing that was kind of wrapped around it. And we're in September, but there was like a sock cap that appeared to be like stuck on the top. And I thought it was kind of odd.
How did he carry the bag when he left?
I'm sorry, but if this doesn't sound ridiculous to you, I mean, my heart literally hurts. This sounds ridiculous. I'm going to show you it later. She should have said, no, come now. I have a minute. Let me see. Let me look and see, what you did. It's like sometimes you have to engage and take that extra step. You have to close the gap. I just, oh, okay. I don't understand. He was engaging her, he was in conversation. The only thing that needed to happen is, I have time, I can look at it now. Bring it up here. Let me see it. Close the distance. Come from behind the desk. Walk up to his desk. Stand right next to him. And if you really felt some unease, some discomfort, and you thought it was possibly a weapon, you say, you know what? I'm going to take this to my desk. You stay here. I want to look at this. Or get security if you don't feel comfortable or you're not able.
Your classroom.
It was very difficult for him to carry. It was like really super heavy. And so when he went to pick it up, you could tell, and I said, do you need help with that? And he seemed a little agitated or a little nervous.
Because he scuffled off.
And so he
got away
just
from
like
you.
scurried out of the classroom with
Yes, he did.
his book bag.
Now, as a teacher, as an educator, do you have the authority to search a child's backpack or a student's backpack?
No, I do not.
And so based on what you observed with his backpack and with the questions that he asked you about the active shooter and about the bathroom, what did you do?
Initially, I went.
Before she says this, I don't know if she can detain him and say, here, come have a seat here. I'm going to have security come, or whoever has the authority to do a search, because there was enough cause there to feel like it warranted a search. It may not be her responsibility or she doesn't have authority, but somebody does.
Straight out the door and went to the restrooms to put up the chain because the class was in transition and that's where my restroom duty is. But as I was standing there, I wasn't standing there very long, but I heard a voice that said, he's got a gun.
And that's just like a voice in your head,
Voice
kind of.
in my head, yeah.
And what did you do when you kind of felt that happen?
I got cold chills from the top of my hair all the way down to the toes of my feet. And I stood there for a minute, and it quickly runs through your mind. Like, if you make an accusation and you tell somebody's got a gun, they're going to think you're crazy. But as I stood there for just a second, it just got louder. And so I just darted down the hallway and went straight to D. Martin's office.
Okay. And what did you do when you got to D. Martin's office?
I was going to attempt to tell her that I thought that he had a gun, but she was in there with another student. And so the door was closed. So I immediately came out. Mr. Broughton, who was our other AP, he was standing out in the atrium because we're in class transition. And I went up, told him that, I really needed to talk to somebody. And he said, well, have you already been talking to Dee about this? And I said, yes. And about that time, somebody came on the radio and said that she was releasing that student to the media center. And he said, oh, well, she's done. So you go ahead you go ahead and go in there and talk with her. And so that's what I did.
And what was that discussion, or what did you tell her?
When I went in, there was another teacher that was coming in behind me. It was Mandy Pugh and two of her students. And Dee was coming out of her office, and she thought we were together regarding another situation. And I told her no. And there was somebody in the office that was next door to hers. And so there was still a student that was in her office. And so we went into Mr. Neely's office, which is the third office. And we went straight back and we're trying to find some place private. But I told her, I said, I don't know how I know, but, I think he's got a gun.
After that, what did you do?
But see, that's the thing, you have to trust in your intuition. You do know why you feel the way you feel. Because of his question about the active shooter drill and lockdown. And then because of the backpack and what it appeared to be was a concealed weapon. That's why you felt that. That was your intuition. And you can't worry if you're making a mistake or the accusation isn't accurate. The sad part is if you don't do anything and it happens, if you make a mistake, We all make mistakes. We can get over it. However, when you don't take action, we already know what the result. We know what the result is, and could be in the future if we don't.
She asked me at that point if I knew what class he was in, and I said, no, I don't. But when I went back to my classroom, then I looked up who the classroom teacher was, and it was Captain Greer.
And I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 33. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And what do you recognize that as?
It's the email that I sent letting Dee know what classroom he was in.
And is that a fair and accurate copy of that email?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to introduce into evidence State's Exhibit 33.
No objection.
All right, 33 submitted.
And we'll go ahead and publish that to the jury. Okay. And again, you indicated that this was to D. Martin. Can you tell us the time that you sent that email?
The time is at 9:52 a.m.
And can you tell us what the email said?
Okay, so let me pause right here. So she follows up. This teacher is on it. She didn't have the answer at the time she had the conversation, but she follows it up with an email saying, Colt Gray, he's going to be in Mrs. Greer's second hour class. This is at 9:52 a.m. Again, the shooting did not start to after 10 a.m. Let's continue.
Colt Gray is with Miss Greer during second period. FYI, thanks.
Welcome to NCLEX Boot Camp, where we'll give you everything you need in order to pass.
My
NCLEX
apologies
Boot Camp
for the
includes 50
interruption.
next-gen.
Your second period class, was it a planning period for you, or were you teaching a class?
It was planning period.
After that email, can you tell us what happened?
So I have other students that share the classroom. They come in, we share the classroom together. And Alex English, which is another teacher, it's his first year teaching. He was teaching audio, video technology, and film. And he came in with his students. And so at some point during the class, I was just really nervous, and I just stood up and kind of addressed the whole class without asking him first. I just was very stern, and what I said was, don't ask me how I know, don't ask me any questions, but do not leave this classroom unless it's an absolute emergency. Because I just felt in every fiber of my being that
You knew it.
something was wrong.
Yeah, you knew it. You knew it was going to happen.
At
You
some
felt it.
point, did you become aware that there was shooting going on in the high school?
Yes. At one point, Alex kind of came towards the door, and we kind of stepped out in the hallway, and I told him what I was suspicious of. And he was like, oh gosh, that sounds, scary or whatever. And I said, I don't know how I know, but I just felt like that something was going to happen. And so I came back in the classroom, and shortly thereafter, we saw the lockdown screen, and we went into lockdown.
And eventually, were you able to hear the shooting, or did you just become aware that something had happened?
No, I actually heard the shooting. It's our protocol to go out, like to open up the classroom door to kind of look to see who's in the hallway, if there's any kids in the bathroom. And I did that, and I could hear gunshots to the left, which is down towards the counseling office.
After the shooting had ended, were y'all eventually able to leave your classroom?
Yes,
Okay. And where were y'all evacuated to?
to the football field.
And I'm going to play one more clip for you, which is the clip for when Colt was leaving your classroom. And it is from 1 hour and 39 minutes and 11 seconds to 1 hour and 40 minutes and 14 seconds. And that's, again, from State's Exhibit 16.
See how she comes over? Closes the distance.
And just to be clear, did you ever actually see a gun?
No.
Okay. And so you had a feeling that there was a gun, but you never saw one?
No.
Okay. Nothing further.
Ross?
Yes, Sean. Good afternoon, Ms. Harris. I have a few questions. If I ask a question that doesn't make sense or you'd like me to clarify, please let me know, and I'll go ahead and take care of that. All right. So you were in class and you observed this backpack that Mr. Gray had, correct?
Yeah.
And I believe you said it looked like it was heavy.
When he got ready to leave the classroom is where it appeared to be heavy.
Based on how he was lifting it. Is that what you're referring to?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. And at some point after the shooting, you gave a statement to a couple officers from GBI. Is that correct?
Mhm.
And you have to say yes or no for the court reporter.
Oh.
Sorry. No, you're fine. Did do you remember telling them that you were familiar with guns?
Yes.
And I believe you said that you thought, based on the length of the object that was extending from his backpack, that kind of made you suspicious. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
How was it about the poster board? How far was it extending out of the backpack?
It appeared to be about that far.
So you're holding your hands, and so I have to make a record for the court reporter, like a foot and a half more?
2.5 foot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you said there was a hat stuffed down the tube of the poster board. Is that correct?
It appeared to be clothing, and best I recall, it looked like a sock cap.
Like a toboggan?
Yes.
It's like a winter hat.
Yeah.
And of course, this was September.
Right. And I thought that was odd.
Right. And it wasn't cold that day.
No, it was not.
Okay. All right. Okay, I think that's it. Let me check one other thing. And you said we saw from where he was sitting in class on the video, he was sitting next to a couple other students.
Mhm.
And without telling me what anybody said specifically, your memory is that they were engaging in conversations regarding missing assignments?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have 1 second, Judge? 1 second. Let me come over. Ms. Harris, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Based on Ross, any redirect?
No, Your Honor. May Ms. Harris be excused?
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so just briefly, let me know your ideas. Are you interpreting the testimony the way that I am? Are you picking up and seeing some things that need to have procedures and some improvements on just responding to potential threats? What can we do? Can we create some guidelines or instruction on if you have some red flags, some things that you're seeing? How can you in an organized way direct someone to report it so that it's handled in a manner of urgency, emergency, to deal with it, to try to um, identify the potential threat. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm gleaning from the testimony. I'm trying to find ways to improve, like the school safety. Sometimes you don't have a structured plan in place, but maybe that just means, this is something that needs to be improved, that needs to be part of um, teacher staffing training, okay, at every new school year. Not just the drills, but also what do you do if you have um, something that you feel potentially is a threatening situation or a threatening person, how to do it, how to quickly do it, and how to safely engage that person, interact, or report it. Okay. So thank you for spending this time with me. I really, really appreciate it. I want you to stay safe, stay smart, stay savvy, and please check out. Um, I have a playlist from the U.S. Secret Service, and it talks about mass shootings. They've been tracking them, covering them, putting statistics together, and I'm bringing more of that detail to try to educate the public on school safety, safety in buildings, workplaces, etc. So please check that playlist out on YouTube. Bye, everybody. Bye.